Hey there, grade 8s. Welcome to lesson 2 of chapter 2. And this lesson we are talking about applying rules or developing rules for multiplying integers. So this one is actually kind of fun because as long as you understand your basic math facts and you're good with multiplication, then the rest of this is actually going to be really easy. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to pull up a little chart, and then we'll be able to see exactly what happens as we're doing this, and kind of what the rules are. So here I've got this chart. If you wanted to pause it and just like copy it out and copy this chart out and see what you can get as your answers, that's totally fine. I'm going to go through them pretty quick. And just write out what they all are. So I've got negative 5 times negative 5, which gives me 25. Here I've got 20, 15, 10, 5. All of these are going to be 0, obviously. So I'll just put all those in. Okay. And then if I go the other way, I'm going to get negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, negative 25. As I go down, it's going to continue, so I'm going to get 20, 15, 10, 5, and then I've got negative 5, negative 10, negative 20, negative, 15, so negative 15, negative 20, negative 25, and then I can actually do the full perimeter like that, so negative 20, negative 15, negative 10, negative 5, and 10, 15, 20, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20. Now, when I work at my 4s, it's just going to be counting by 4. So I'm going to kind of do the next loop around. So 16, 12, 8, 4, negative 4, negative 8, negative 12, negative 16, negative 12, negative 8, negative 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 12, 8, 4, negative 4, negative 8, negative 12, negative 16, negative 12, negative 8, negative 4, 4, 8, 12. This is actually going faster because each circle is going to get quicker and quicker. So when I go 3 times 3, I get 9, 6, 3, 9, 6, 3, negative 3, negative 6, negative 9, negative 6, negative 3, 3, 6, 9, 6, 3, 3, negative 6, negative 9, negative 6, negative 3. And here we've got 4, 2, 2. This will be 1. I'll just do the rest of them. So negative 2, negative 4, negative 1, negative 2. Here we go. Negative 2, negative 1, negative 4, negative 2, 2, 4, 1, 2. All right. So when we look at this whole thing, we can actually see some patterns that are created. Okay. When we have So this would be our first number. So if we have like a negative or a positive, depending on what we're talking about, we already know that when we have a positive times a positive, we're always going to get a positive. Okay, that's the regular math that we've been dealing with. That's the regular multiplication that we've been dealing with, and it's been really easy. So a positive times a positive is a positive. So I'm going to write these rules down over here. So a positive times a positive equals a positive. And these would be good to have in your notes so that you don't lose them. The next one, let's talk about if we have a positive times a negative. Okay? So if we have a positive times a negative, all of our answers here are negative. Okay? Then if we look at, let's go a negative times a positive. Negative times a positive equals, they're all negatives. Okay? And then when we have a negative times a negative, we end up with positives. So negative times a negative equals positive. So one of the rules that we can kind of apply in this situation is if we have the same symbol twice, if we have the same symbol twice, or the same integer twice, okay? So we have this like positive and a positive, we get a positive. Negative and negative, we get a positive. Okay, we always get a positive when we have the same symbols. When we have a negative and a positive, or opposites, we're always going to end up with negative. So if you are unsure as to why, go back to lesson 2.1, and I talk about kind of why that works with integers and with the moving man and integer tiles. So those are kind of a couple methods that might help you. So I'm going to take this off, and we're going to focus on this rule for a bit, and we're going to do a couple practice questions so that you can actually see how simple it is to try to apply these. All right, so let's look as simple as even just going, okay, negative 9 times positive 4. Okay, negative 9 times positive 4. And I'm putting these in brackets so that you understand the difference, that they are talking about the value of the number, and it's not an addition or subtraction. So I'd highly recommend that as you're writing out these questions, if you know that it's an integer, put it in a bracket. Okay? If I can do 9 times 4, okay, 36, that's easy. Now I just follow my rules. Okay? I have 1 and 1. Okay, I have 1 positive and 1 negative, so I'm going to end up with a negative. Okay, let's look at it this way. If I have negative 4 times negative 9, I'm still going to get 36. I have a negative times a negative, which is going to be a positive. Okay, so that one works out as well. And then if I have positive 4 times positive 9, I'm still going to get 36. I have a positive and a positive, and that gives me a positive. All right? Now, if I want to try to take it maybe one step further, what if I'm multiplying 3 different integers? Okay, what if I'm multiplying 3 different integers? The same rules apply. Okay? So I'll give you one example, but then I'll change the integer for each of them. Okay? So what if I went negative 2 times negative 3 times negative 4. Okay? So I've got 2 times 3, which is 6. 6 times 4 equals 24. Now, I need to figure out what my symbol is going to be. Okay? Well, let's think about it. What was my rule? I said if you have the same symbols, you're going to end up with a positive. However, I should emphasize, if you have an even number of the same symbols. Okay, and let's look at it and see why. If I have a negative times a negative, that's going to give me a positive. Okay, so now when I put these two together, that gives me a positive. Now I'm doing, so that's positive 6. Okay, now I'm going to go positive 6 times negative 3. So I have a positive times a negative. That's going to give me a negative. All right, so that one worked out so that I got a negative. Now let's change one of the symbols. Let's make this 3 a positive. Okay, let's see what we get now. So if I have a negative 2 and a positive 3, that's going to give me, so a negative and a positive multiplied together, I have different signs. That's going to give me a negative. So now I have negative 6. Okay, now I have negative 6 times negative 4. Now I have 2 of the same. Okay, so that gives me a negative times a negative gives me a positive. So when I'm looking at what happened here, I had 2 that were the exact same. So I had an even number of the same type of integer. So I have 2 negatives and then the positive. Okay? So that ends up giving me my negative. All right? So if I have an even number of negatives, I'm going to end up with a positive. Okay, let's change it one more. Let's put a positive here. Okay, and let's see how this one works out. If I have negative 2 times positive 3, I'm still going to end up with my negative 6. Now I'm going to go negative 6 times positive 4. So negative times a positive is going to be a negative. Okay, so I have only one negative number, so that doesn't work out. So I have to have an even number of negative numbers, okay, to be able to end with my positive number. So I'm ending up with a negative answer in this one. All right? Okay, that'll be the lesson. You're going to have some questions that you can work on. Try your best to apply these rules. Okay, so once again, the rules are over here. Sorry, you weren't really able to see those. So if you have a positive times a positive, you get a positive. If you have a negative times a negative, you get a positive. And any odd combination, so positive and negative, or negative times positive, you'll end up with a negative in those situations. All right? If you have any questions, please let me know. Bring them to the Zoom chat, and I'll try to help you out there. Good luck.